today. Oh my gosh, we are just hopefully days away from the Switch 2 announcement. Are you ready?
Forget days, maybe hours, maybe who knows.
Oh yeah. We're recording this on Tuesday.
This is probably going to be our last podcast before the Nintendo Switch 2 is revealed. Wow. How long have we waited for this moment? It's exciting. And yeah, since that's looking us in the face, we're going to be talking about what we are expecting to see in this reveal.
Yeah.
I have a list of things I'm expecting to see. I have a longer list of things I'm not expecting to see, though.
I have a pretty big list of things as well. I will say that my expectations are pretty high.
Oh.
And I hope that I'm not disappointed.
Oh, no.
I have not managed my own expectations very well.
And I have been teasing you that I have a theory that I want to debut here.
I'm so excited about this.
Well, we were talking recently about the video from Nate the Hate where he was saying, yeah, you know, the thing that doesn't add up to me is this sounds like it's going to be a hardware first, very minimal games presence, and to me that all I had the same reactions. Like, yeah, that sounds strange.
Like a red flag came up.
I don't know why they would do that, but I have a theory that I will be sharing shortly.
Okay, well we can all look forward to that.
Little tease there for
your little conspiracy theories.
Right.
We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think we all are sort of on pins and needles. This week has been really fun, though.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun, like, making lots of videos about what is just all happening in this, like, lead up to, this is, like, the days leading up to an announcement is always, like, such an exciting moment, especially a big hardware announcement like this. This doesn't come around very often.
I appreciate having a little more heads up about, again, it's not the way Nintendo wanted it, but in this case, I appreciate this.
As we have, like, basically given our lives.
We've got our week planned out now.
Yeah, we have given our lives to doing this, to being here, to, being here to react to everything, to talk about everything. It is nice to have a little bit of heads up. But yeah, it's been really fun. And I said this in another video, but we have not had, the opportunity to experience a big hardware launch for a long time.
You said since the Wii.
Since the Wii.
The Wii was the last Nintendo hardware that launched that you were not involved professionally with.
That's right.
Wow. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Long time.
And, yes, it is exciting to work on a hardware launch from the inside, but it's actually incredibly stressful and just a lot of work and sleepless nights. And I kind of don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm actually really, really happy to be on this side as, like, an enthusiastic fan, and even the idea of, like, sharing that with, like, you and our community has been so great, and just, like, it's entertaining now because I'm not working on it.
Yeah, I mean,
so now I can have fun.
I am not exaggerating. Nintendo is about to do the riskiest thing that you can do in all the video games, which is transitioning from what may become the most successful video game platform of all time into the great unknown of something new.
Yeah.
And you can have all these great plans and think, yeah, we nailed it, but there's no guarantee that that's going to happen.
That's right.
And there's so much work that goes into it, and thank goodness we're not having to do it ourselves anymore.
I know. I'm just like, lay back, people. Yeah. I'm like, have my drink.
Crack wise in a video.
Yeah. I get to, like, from the sidelines, have a pithy remark.
Right.
And it's so much fun. I love it so much.
We did dodge the big bullet. I've been out of town for a little while. I was on vacation. You were sweating bullets.
I was sweating.
I came back at the end of last week, which was CES. I think we felt, CES.
It felt pretty good that it wasn't last
week. The safe shelter of CES will
cocooned us.
Protect us from the big news. And I came back, and then all this stuff happened. So it seems to be working out great for us.
Yeah, good timing on your part. Yeah, really good.
Really good timing.
Yeah, if it was last Thursday, you would actually been on an airplane.
Yeah.
On a 10-hour flight.
I know that I would have been able to do
there.
Nothing. I was thinking, like, well, I might have to pull an all-nighter, and, like, when would that start? It got real bad.
It got real bad.
Thank
goodness. And then I did have a threatening. I, like, texted you, I think, a threatening note that I was like, I don't care if you, like, if you're landing on Thursday, because you landed pretty early on Thursday. I'm like, if this thing is happening last Thursday, I don't care how jet lagged you are. I don't care if you've been.
We are very close to the airport.
36 hours. Yeah. You get your booty in this office, and we're going to record a reaction. I don't care if you're like delirious from your travel. I don't care. But it didn't happen. So that was my attempt at welcoming you back to the U.S.
Wonderful. That's great. Yes, so we are going to get into, in just a moment, everything that we are going to be looking for. We're going to have our eye on for the Switch 2 reveal. But first, we have to shout out the sponsor for this episode. This episode is sponsored by Acorns, new sponsor.
New sponsor, how exciting.
Welcome, Acorns. And we are still in New Year's resolution season.
Oh, yeah.
But I have some bad news for the resolution setters, which is that, did you know only 8% of people who make a New Year's resolution stick with them? Maybe that's why I don't generally bother.
I'm in the other 92% where I always break mine halfway through.
I know that it's kind of a tricky thing. But with Acorns, you can lock in years and years of good money habits in just 5 minutes, because that's all the time it takes to open your account and start automatically saving and investing your money, which is great.
Yeah, this is an area of my life that's really a challenge for me. Like, I'm not very savvy with like all the different...
Why would we be?
Yeah, they should teach you this in school, but they don't. They teach you geometry, which is useless. I would like to know how I can invest my money, how I can start, really looking into my future for financial security. Like, I would like to know how to do this.
It's time for you to start, for sure.
Yeah, you have to really plan.
Yes.
And Acorns really makes that easy for you and very accessible, which I think a lot of financial things are not accessible.
It's scary. It feels like it has a huge learning curve. And it's an area where I think a lot of people are like, I want to do something, I should do something, but I'm either intimidated or I don't have the time to learn it. So that's where Acorn comes in. They make it easy to start automatically saving and investing so your money has a chance to grow for you, your kids, and your retirement.
Yeah.
You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. You don't need to be rich. Acorns just lets you invest with spare money you've got right now, and you can start with $5 or even just your spare change.
I love that.
The proverbial acorns.
The proverbial acorns.
Yes.
I love that because it's like you do have this mindset sometimes like, oh, I need to be like a billionaire to invest my money. Or I need to be, this really like savvy financial expert to be able to do this. But
everybody can do it, and you got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
yes.
I love that.
So head to acorns.com/KitandKrysta or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid non-client endorsement compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/KitandKrysta.
And we're going to put the link over here with a QR code for you to scan to learn more, and in the description below.
All right,
here we go.
With everything we are looking for in the Switch 2 reveal. Do you have anything just off the top of like a general tone setter of like, here's kind of the... Okay, go. Why don't we start with those?
Yeah, I do have sort of some general thoughts on this. My big thing that I've been thinking about a lot is when you transition from one hardware generation to the next hardware generation, you're really transitioning from one era to the next. And like, it marks the end of something, but also the beginning of something else.
How poetic.
Isn't it? Life is that way sometimes. So it would be great for, something I'm expecting to see generally is Nintendo to tell me what the next era is about. Like, they were so good. When we were, launching Switch, it was so clear what this era of Switch was going to be about. It's going to be about playing anywhere, anytime with anyone. It was that message from the beginning, and it was the message 8 years later. And it was great to have that because exactly how this thing's going to fit into your life, what this thing is meant to do, and what the company is going to be focused on for the duration of this generation. So I need them to tell me this next thing, Switch 2.
Well, you may be continuing to play anytime, anywhere with anyone.
That's fine. That's fine. If that's the case, that's fine. But they need to tell me, like, what is this next era going to represent?
Right.
So that's one thing I've been thinking about a lot.
I have to admit that I was impacted as I approached this episode by the kind of rumors that came out in the recent days of what the nature of this reveal will be. Mm-hmm. It does seem like it's going to be the beginning, not the totality of everything that we get.
Yeah,
we're going to start with a small bit of information that's going to grow over time.
Yeah.
And it's going to kind of hit a fever pitch maybe a month or so from now, where it's like, okay, now we're getting the deluge of information. So I do think people should keep their expectations managed for that. It's like, we're not getting every piece of information.
No, but they need to set the tone, though.
Yes.
They have a very important mission of setting the tone. That's not like sharing every bit of news.
Right.
But it's just setting the tone for what this represents for the next generation of Nintendo.
Exactly. And I think what it is, I think we're getting a very focused and straightforward reveal of the Switch 2 that will unfortunately confirm a lot of what we already learned through leaks, with a couple other additional details that will be cool surprises. That's what I think this is going to be.
I think that's very reasonable to think that.
And something that I am personally, going to be trying to read the tea leaves of through this is, what is Nintendo's mindset as a company going into this? Because I think they're either going to be cocky because it's like, we're riding high, we got this solved, we're continuing this great hit, or they could be very cautious about it. It's like, we dropped the ball with the Wii U, we don't want to do that again. We might get into, some sort of overly explaining. Like, we've been in that loop. It's like, we're just going to explain ourselves to death.
Yes, and then
people aren't going to buy it.
One day people are going to get it.
So I think it's going to be one or the other. So I'm going to be looking, like, based on this presentation, like, which Nintendo are we getting here? How are they feeling?
That's really good, because I do want to know, like, what their mindset is going into it, because it means a lot for the future of how they're going to be, like, rolling out announcements, how they're going to be, managing the different, updates that are coming up. I think if they're cautious Nintendo, it's going to feel really different than, like, guns blazing, like, confident Nintendo.
Yes.
I hope it's confident Nintendo, because no one wants, like,
milk toes.
You don't want milk toes. You don't want to be like, I'm going to tiptoe around these things. Like, come out. Stand on that, on the thing that you are doing with confidence, and that is a good, mentality to have.
Yeah, I think there will be very clear statements about it being a next generation system. I think no matter what their mindset is, they have to do that, because we've pretty much seen this thing. It looks almost exactly the same if you just kind of have them side by side. So they do need to find some ways, more than just showing it to you, to communicate this is not the same thing. This is not a minor step up. This is not the Switch Pro. This is a new generation. And that might be harder than you think.
Yeah.
Based on, again, everything that's leaked. We all have these preconceived notions based on all of the leaks.
Yeah. I have that exact same thing in mind, that it needs to feel next gen. And I'm not just talking about specs. Specs are specs, and specs can add to it feeling modern. Yeah. Obviously, like when you have a powerful, hardware, it does feel like it's like the cutting edge of technology. But, we talked about this a lot. Like, when we first saw the Switch, we were all, like, really impressed with how modern, how the form factor just looked so crisp and clean. There are other ways beyond specs for you to make something feel next gen.
Right.
They're going to have to do that and really prove to us that, yes, this is the future. And like, think about how long we had the Switch for, right?
Yeah.
They're going to want to do the same thing
with
this hardware cycle. So it needs to not only feel next gen, like, right now, but also next gen for, like, the foreseeable future.
And you just mentioning specs, I do have to do my first thing that I think we are definitively not going to get in this video, which is any discussion of specs.
Right. Oh, no, definitely not.
They never do that. There may be some information that comes out after the fact around specs, but as far as the video itself, don't look for any mention of, like, the NVIDIA GPU or Hall effect stick. No, it won't be.
You're not going to have that.
So that does kind of make that a little bit harder then. You have to find a visual-only way to communicate that this is a big step up. Yeah. Even though you're holding something that looks very similar, you're taking off it. We took off Joy-Cons before. How do they do that? How do they accomplish that without verbally, again, overly explaining all of these things?
Right. That's really tough. That's a tough challenge to overcome for them, for sure. I'm curious to see how they're going to visually represent that. But this is a 100% like a pass or no pass kind of thing, though.
Right.
Like, when you're announcing new hardware, it needs to feel next gen. That is a fact statement. There's no, like, two ways about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no escaping this fact. Like, you, as a company, that is your job to do. If you're going to sell us on something that is a new piece of hardware, you need to sell us on why it's new and why it feels
well,
modern.
you know what a gangbusters way to do that is show some games that look appropriately next gen. So let's talk about this stuff that Nate the Hate was saying. Saying that this is going to have a much smaller games presence than the 2016 reveal video did, where we got those first glimpses of Mario Odyssey and Splatoon 2 and quite a few games. There was a substantial game presence.
I mean, every little vignette was a game.
Those were all a reason to get excited. All of those were there for a reason, and all of those were a get hype moment to different people. But according to these reports, they're just not there. And Nate said, this doesn't make sense. We talked about in an earlier video, kind of doesn't make sense either, because again, the mantra that was always drilled into us, software sells hardware. So
killer app.
Why would you reveal a piece of hardware that's already leaked so extensively? It feels like you're not putting your best foot out there, and you're just kind of setting it up to be this wet fart of a first reveal. Just feels like a terrible way to start this new generation. It's not what you're saying. Starting strong. So let me share my theory.
Oh.
So in the past, we know, people have talked about this. Stephen Totillo has talked about this. Other people who were involved in this talked about this. In 2019, when Tears of the Kingdom was revealed, there were people who saw that E3 digital event that had that content cut out of it.
That happened to me.
You see where you're going. I was one of a extremely small
there was like 3 people.
Number of people who knew about that, who were handling those materials. Everybody else, it was like, this is so confidential. We cannot include it until we actually air the thing.
That's literally what happened to a huge group of us.
Yes.
We had a real reactions moment in that war room at E3 from that reveal because we genuinely, the people that were working on the show did not know.
I am wondering, is Nintendo implementing that again, where they have these games? This is what we're really trading in now, is these games, because everything else leaked. So all the versions that are going to be
very interesting.
All the versions that are circulating have that stuff cut out. So maybe Nate the Hate heard about this version that who knows is leaking stuff from the inside. Like, oh yeah, I didn't see any games. Well, that's because they got cut out because they're freaked out about this exact thing happening.
Oh, I could buy this.
I don't know. I don't want to say definitively this is what's going to happen. So I don't want people to.
But there's a precedent of it happening before.
It could happen because it has happened in the past.
Oh, I could buy this.
Because it just doesn't make sense for there to be no games present. See?
Oh, that's a good theory. Guys.
Consider this.
This happened to us.
Consider this, right?
Oh, I love this theory. That's such a good... Yeah. That makes me feel so much better, actually, because I don't need to see
who knows? It could still be the hardware-only version. It's just only a theory that I have and I'm putting out there.
Yeah, and even if it's, just little snippets like we saw in that 2016 trailer, it doesn't have to be full-on trailers of full-on launch titles. No. It doesn't have to be anything like that. No. We just need to see something.
And then it puts it more in the blueprint of the 2016 video where you're getting a combination of hardware and games, and I think we would all feel a bit more comfortable if I think that would be much what this is.
More palatable, because again, with everything that's leaked, you've basically lost every element of surprise except for some smaller maybe things like, people are talking about that C button, people are talking about the potential mouse Joy-Con. We might get some confirmations of those theories.
So if we get a glimpse at a new Mario Kart game, a new 3D Mario, a couple third-party games, like, all right, I'm feeling a lot better now. Now I'm feeling a lot better.
Okay. My expectations are even higher now.
Oh no.
But you did.
I'm going to say again, this is a theory that is not rooted in anything other than my own brain. That's all it is.
But you have some, it's rooted in like this happened once before.
It's happened. Yes.
And they have done this once before. And I remember you were very good about keeping that secret. You didn't tell me, your best friend. And then I was sitting in that room with a bunch of other Nintendo people, and me and
producer Stephanie,
our good friend Camille, we grabbed each other, and there was one person in that room that knew, which was your boss, and was taking photos of us because we never get to have that moment when we were inside the company, and so we were actually pretty happy about that. It was pretty fun. But yeah, how interesting. Okay, all right.
What else you got here?
I want to see exactly how different this is going to be from original Switch.
Okay.
Like they need to show me in some way, doesn't have to be specs, but like tell me what makes this different. Like if the form factor is the same and the general feel of it is the same, you need to convince me more and make me understand like how this is going to be like a step up for me. Like if I'm going to shell out hundreds and hundreds of dollars, $400 plus dollars, like you need to convince me why this is an upgrade, why this is different. That again is a hard thing for them to do sometimes because they're not like specs oriented company. They're going to need to show you in some other ways, whether that's through next gen games or something else. Like I need to know what makes this different and why I need to buy it. Yeah.
I think we're getting a very detailed overview of all the key hardware features, the bigger screen, whatever functions are in the new Joy-Con, the magnets.
The magnets, yes.
The mouse functionality, if that is indeed in there.
Right.
And then also this mysterious C button.
Yeah.
We have seen them in the past to hold like one or two mystery features until later. Like with the Wii U, the amiibo function was held until later. And I remember Reg, like, we've got one more thing that we haven't revealed that was like this big kind of,
I definitely want a one more thing
carrot on it. Carrot on. Oh, you want them to hold it?
No, I want them to give
You want them to tell you?
Yes.
Yes.
Give it to me.
Because with the Wii U, it was like, oh, well, you think we've revealed everything. We haven't.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that. I think they need to reveal it all.
They need to reveal everything.
So they need to show...
They need all that ammo to tell us what's different about the Switch.
They need to show what this... And there's so many theories out there about the C button. People have said it's the chat, whatever it is. Nobody knows. Yeah. But I think they need to show us, again, to the point of what can this thing do that the old Switch didn't. You need to establish that right away or you've got a Wii U situation.
Exactly. I think there's no room for like...
Getting cute.
Getting real cute about it. Like just give us the information straight. Like we want to know, we want to have all the information as consumers to make the informed decision. And we will decide for ourselves, yes, you have convinced us that this is so much better than my original Switch, and I think it's worth the price to upgrade to this new thing. Like we will make that decision, but give us all the information.
Yes,
yeah, totally.
Exactly. What else?
I also said, like, I want to know what just the general aesthetic is, like, does it...
Don't we know this? You mean colors?
Colors, the tone of it. Like,
yes. You want to know, is it white? So you
I don't want it to look like kitty. That's sometimes...
I don't think it's going to look kitty.
Sometimes Nintendo devices have a way of looking kind of childish.
What do you need to know that we don't already know about this?
Colors. They're definitely color. Okay. Size, the way the dock looks. How is it going to look in my living room? Is it going to look like a sleek modern device, or is it going to look like some little child's toy?
I don't know. I feel like at this price point that they're going to be working towards, you can't go the kitty route.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want some like little kids.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not super worried about that.
Timmy's first gaming device.
The Fisher-Price
model. Like don't do that.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I feel like this is a good, again, it's part of the tone setting for like what era are you in? Obviously Nintendo is very, like, they care a lot about the kid audience, and they have to like walk that fine line between like, people that are older Nintendo fans or like general just like, more expanded audience people, but I don't want them to like go the kid Nintendo route at all.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Something else I put in the category of I don't think we're going to see it. Maybe with a few specific exceptions, like if the C button is hooked into that. But the UI is something a lot of people have said, I want to see this. I want to see how that's changed. I don't think we see that
here.
No, that's something we'll see later on when they have a reason to go into greater specifics. It's really not relevant for what they need to do now in a lot of ways.
No.
So I don't think we see that until later.
Yeah, I do think that they are going to have like sort of that same 2016 like lifestyle approach to it. They might do a little bit more in terms of hardware overview, the little beauty video of the hardware. A little bit more than the 2016 video, which is very much like somebody living their life with a Switch.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to go like full like tech video specs, you know. I don't think they're doing that. I don't think we're getting price in this.
No.
I don't think we're getting SKUs in this. Like if they have multiple SKUs, I don't think we're seeing that here.
Launch date, though.
I do think we're getting launch date. But yeah, other than like, I think launch date is probably the only like tangible announcement information because they want you to pre-order.
Right.
So they're going to give you the launch date. Yeah.
The price thing. Let's talk about why price is not going to be upfront.
Yeah, price is not going to be here. I mean, this is one of those things where you save price for like a lot later because you don't. I mean, there might be multiple SKUs or whatever. Like you don't know, and then like you just don't know what changes might happen. We talk about this a lot. Like price is something that you don't reveal anything until you absolutely must reveal.
That's a big strategic thing for you to roll that out, and they have no reason to do that now.
Yeah.
Components, those things could still change. You want to get a read on how people are reacting to this thing, kind of see what people are saying. Like, oh yeah, I'd be glad to play something in the ballpark of $400 or whatever it may be, based on what I'm seeing.
When all the news hits after you announce it, you will get those kinds of information and speculation of price, like. We think it's going to cost yada yada.
Yeah.
And that's when you can be like, okay, are we like in the ballpark?
And when they reveal that, that's also when the pre-orders are going to happen. So for them to fully trigger pre-order, you need a lot more information out there as far as like this is these are the games. This is a lot more games than you're going to see here. Yeah. This is just step one. And again, following, Nate the Hate talked about this, and I think it makes sense to follow that blueprint where in a month or so you have another big reveal that is more games focused, where you do get the price, you get all the UI, you get all the other odds and ends, let people pick up the thing and look at it and check it out and poke at it. And there's a huge, larger amount of information that would come out of that.
And Nintendo loves to do this because they know that the magic of what their systems can do is all in the experience of someone actually holding it and playing it. We used to talk about this to death, where it's like, how can we shorten the time between like an announcement of something and when people can hold it in their hands?
Yeah.
We used to do so much of this that, during E3s, it would be like, you would do the press conference and then you would basically like
walk the people,
shepherd the media into another room and thrust
have
the
a woman with a 3DS chained to her body, walk to you, the guy in the seat,
and
play this game,
make you play it and need it. That was how much that was such an important thing. Exactly, right? When you have 35 beautiful women with the systems chained to their bodies, forcing you to play,
right?
Because they know that sometimes some of the stuff that they talk about with their announcements need to be experienced to actually feel like something. When it's very conceptual, it's really hard to get people excited about it. So I can see the scenario where, yes, we get this like basic kind of announcement video that gives us some basic information about the existence of the system and what it looks like, all the things that we just talked about. And then it's really that like next hands-on event where we'll talk about maybe more features, the UI, and then you put it in somebody's hand and you're like, look at this UI, play this game, check out this functionality that we just announced or whatever. That is how their mindset is, how it usually works with that.
Yes. Yeah. Something else I've seen a lot of people saying, like, I want to know how this works, is backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
And I think they might find a way to remind us of that. Like there could be a scene where somebody pops an old Switch cartridge out and puts in the Switch 2 cartridge. But as far as the specifics that people want to know, I don't think we're getting these this week.
I think they're definitely going to remind us because they want us to keep buying Switch games.
Exactly.
Because they got Switch games coming.
They're going to have a game coming out the same day.
Probably should buy that game.
The Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Right. So they're going to want to remind you that don't forget. Yeah. Like keep buying stuff.
They have a reason to remind you of that, but that's kind of a tangential thing.
Yeah.
That's less important than the mission of what this first video
got dissect every frame of that video to see.
Right, because then you've got Digital Foundry's breaking down the 2 seconds of footage from the Pokemon game that got shown. It's like it just becomes this whole distraction from like, wait, this is a whole new thing with new games and new everything else. So
right. I do hope that they will have this one more thing surprise. Like I'm holding out hope that they got something up their sleeve.
Like what?
I don't know.
Are you thinking about a hardware thing, a game thing? Like what?
Just anything.
Anything. You're desperate for anything.
I'm desperate for any sort of...
You need your fix.
Make me feel alive, Nintendo.
Oh, boy.
Because, everything has leaked, right? And then we talked about, we might not see that many games. If we see any games at all, if your theory is correct, we might see, snippets of games, which will be cool. But, is there one more thing that they got up their sleeve that they've been keeping real close to the heart that they've been squirreling away for this moment. Like, I just feel like they always do, you know? So I'm holding out hope for like a real hype moment at the end.
Okay, but I mean, this 3D Mario game, like we've all been talking about it, like we just assume it exists. We don't know. I mean, that the details around that have not leaked.
Right.
Would that not be of that caliber for you if you see an incredible new 3D Mario game?
They gotta set it up in a way where it feels like a one more thing moment.
Okay.
Like the thing ends, and then you get one more flash, and it's a 3D Mario game. Or I don't know, whatever.
New Smash Brothers. There we go.
Something in an Inkling's eye again.
Smash
I don't
ball.
know. A smash ball appears in a shadow and I don't know. Just give me a little.
Right.
Have some fun. You know, like again, like it's because of these leaks, because everything has essentially been ruined.
Oh no.
In terms of the surprise,
Yeah.
like I don't really care that much, but
sounds like you do.
But it's always like when you go for a reveal, when you go for an announcement, you do want to get people like hyped.
I'm having a bit of a hard time reading you on this one. I think I know what you're going for, but yeah, I maybe
like
have
leave me at the end with like a really big announcement.
I maybe have lower expectations.
I feel like
where I think they're like what's the bare minimum we can do to announce this thing and get it off to a good start.
Well, this would get it off to a good start.
For a lot more information to come later.
Yeah, but like. You want to, this is like one of those things where you have now set your bar so high for the Switch, right? The Switch generation was so amazing.
Yeah.
You do need to like try. This is like another mindset thing. Do they feel like they need to try?
Right.
Or do they feel like they're big dogs and they don't need to try and they're just going to...
We're made men and women over here.
We're just going to mosey on down the same path that we've been on. Yeah, this is a mindset thing.
Yeah.
But if they're hungry and they feel like they need to try and they need to get you on board in like the most... cool way, exciting way possible, and they're looking at these leaks and thinking, "Oh gosh, you know."
Well, then I guess maybe this is where we feel differently about where they are on the spectrum. Maybe I feel they're more on the cocky side. Maybe you think they're more on the we need to prove ourselves again side.
I mean, I don't feel like they're in the Wii U. They're not
desperate. That's desperation. That's desperation.
From Wii U desperation to high of Switch, the highest height of Switch. I feel like they're like
in the middle,
a little below middle.
Okay.
You might think they're a little ahead of middle.
I think they're a little above middle.
There you go. Yeah. And here's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like they understand that the bar is very high.
Right.
You know, they understand the challenge of replicating, because they've tried and failed, you know, of replicating a very, very successful generation. They know that they have to do something, hopefully, to be able to continue the success and momentum they had in the Switch era. And that's something like, hopefully, a Mr. Iwata lesson that has been ingrained in them. It's certainly ingrained in us.
Right.
Of him always saying, like, you know, when you are running a race, even if you're in first place, don't stop running.
Yes.
Don't just start slowing down. Like, keep running. You know, like the person behind you will catch up before you know it. You look over your shoulder and they're right there. So I do hope that like, mentality is still left in them a little bit, even though they've enjoyed such a successful, era.
All right. We'll see about that.
Give me something at the end. Give me a hype moment at the end.
Okay. Do you I have one more thing this is
it.
Okay. The last thing that I have is there will be more information beyond the video in the form of a press release, something from partners, something that goes on a website.
Yep.
So don't think the video itself is the encapsulation of every piece of information.
Yeah.
There will be more to come immediately after. It may not be a ton, but there will be other interesting things that come out that are not in the video. So just keep your ear to the ground on those. And as they say, keep it locked to Nintendo.com at all times.
Maybe the Japanese website, actually, because they seem to be doing a much better job updating that than Nintendo.com. But yeah, the press release, surprisingly, it sounds dry and boring to like read a press release.
There's always
something in there.
Yeah, and again, like they're gonna say this is the scope of the information that we are gonna share, but so they have that Q&A ready to go. There's something interesting in that Q&A that they're just waiting for somebody to ask.
To ask the question. Yeah. And that might happen. So you can look out for those like media pieces as well, or like any sort of
smart people who can ask the right question will get rewarded.
Stephen Totillo.
With some Jason Schreiers of the world.
Schreier.
Stephen Totillo, all of you
You're
out there.
on, man.
I have no doubt they will get at something interesting
that
Nintendo is open to talking about.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And then like that press release too, like you gotta read between the lines of some of the wording, some of the way that they're
experiences,
phrasing things,
new experiences.
Exactly.
In the Super Mario Brothers series.
You can call them out on a lot of that because you know that wording is some PR jargon.
Yeah, that means it's a game.
That means it's a game that's coming. Yeah. So we're gonna do that. We'll do the work for you. Don't worry. Don't worry. We got you. We got you.
We asked our Patreon folks what they are looking for, and we got such a wide range of. There were so many things that were mentioned that I'm sorry to say that it's not all going to be in the video. So some of these people are going to be disappointed. But let's see what some of the people said. WS said, I would love it if they gave us the 3 biggest pieces of information, the price, the date, and the games. But given this will be the first time we see it, I'm not expecting them to give the price and the date right away. So what I'm hoping to see is at least 3 brand new Nintendo first-party games for the Switch 2.
Nice. Very even keel.
Brandbo says, games. That's pretty much all I want at this point. Backwards compatibility would be pretty high up there if it wasn't already confirmed. So at this point, I just want to see what new stuff I'll be able to play on the thing. Also, the mystery of the C button. People want that solved, the C button. The
C button.
Aaron says, I want a thoughtful, fair way of getting the system that deters scalpers. Valve had a great approach with the Steam Deck requiring accounts and capping orders, but I just don't trust any of Nintendo's retail partners. This one came up a lot.
This one came up a lot.
And again, I don't think it's something we're going to need to worry about now, but
eventually we will, though.
There is just a lot of anxiety that, I don't know about you, I still feel a lot of this anxiety of like, this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a disaster. And
oh boy,
I don't want to deal with it.
We have the one friend that's good at this.
Yeah.
We need to get him going on multiple pre-orders.
And lastly, Honey Crispy says, I want Sabrina Carpenter, Brie Larson, John Cena, and Timothy Chalamet playing Mario Kart 9 on a rooftop in New York. Yes.
Heck yeah.
Perfect.
That sounds amazing. That's a hype moment. There you go.
Incredible.
There's your one more thing. I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
How exciting.
Let's keep the Switch 2 train rolling. Let's go to the news. I'm switching up the order of some things here on the fly.
Yes, let's do it.
So there have continued to be leaks and rumors. Again, I realize we're right on the cusp of maybe learning some of this stuff, but I think there's some value in talking about what we have here because maybe it'll be included in the first announcement, maybe it won't. And the first is around this leak that happened in GameStop systems indicating, so when the motherboard leaked, they were talking about like, it doesn't look like it's the usual micro SD card slot. What could they use? And it seems like that answer may have been given to us through this listing because they are listing micro SD Express cards.
Switch to Express micro SD cards.
Exactly. And I am not somebody who knows a lot about the variations of SD cards, so I had to look this up. And I guess this is a new technology that Samsung announced about a year ago. I think they hinted that they were working with a big partner that may have been Nintendo.
Yeah.
And basically, they have much faster speeds than just the base micro SD card. Okay. And they also have a significantly larger capacity.
Oh, good.
I guess up to 128 terabytes.
That's a lot.
Which is massive.
Oh my goodness.
So my immediate thought was, well, how much would something like this cost? Because the thing that's great about the current Switch is you can very inexpensively expand the memory through just the normal micro SD card. So I didn't see a lot of listings for these. It looks like these types of cards only recently launched, so maybe they're in the process of rolling out. I don't know. I could only find this one on Amazon, which is a SanDisk 256 gigabyte micro SD Express card. Costs $61.
It's pretty expensive.
Which is definitely a lot more expensive than if you're getting just a regular micro SD card, 256 gigs. So this is something to watch.
Yeah.
Because
$61 is significant if you already spent $400 on a system.
The onboard memory will be bigger, but the games are going to be bigger. Yeah. So I think everybody who's going to be an active player is going to want to expand their memory. And it'd just be a little bit of a bummer if it's like, it's just digging into my wallet more and more.
Now it's hundreds of dollars for me to get a decent micro SD card.
Right.
What a boring accessory to spend all this money on.
It never feels that exciting.
It's not fun, but it's like a necessity.
You need it.
right?
Exactly.
It's like, I wish I could use that money for like another set of Joy-Con or something like that.
Right.
And instead, I have to spend money on this micro SD card.
Right. And this was just like straight up listed in GameStop as Switch 2 Express micro SD card, so it seems pretty reliable.
Yeah.
That it'll
this
be there.
one costs $84.99 at
GameStop. I don't know what the currency.
Oh, we don't know what the currency
of this is. So I don't know what country this came out of, but they are also listing Joy-Con charging grip. We've seen those before. That was a semi-useless accessory that we had at the start of the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. So hilarious that stuff just showed up there.
I know. Well, retailers have to, right? If it's
Be up there. There have been a lot of games talked about. All of these are from the same person, which is again Nate the Hate. A lot is writing on Nate the Hate.
What if Nate the Hate is Nate Bildorf?
That's nasty.
If it said nasty Nate the Hate,
then I would know who
then
was
we
coming
would know
from.
exactly who it was. He would know.
It's a make or break moment for Nate the Hate, and he has been talking about all of these games that he has heard are eventually coming to Switch 2. They may not be in this first wave of announcements. So let's just go through. They're kind of in chunks here. So there's some Microsoft games.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Don't be surprised if Microsoft is a big supporter of the Switch 2, because they've talked already about Call of Duty's coming.
Right.
As part of everything they did with the
Activision stuff.
Acquisition.
Yeah.
But Nate the Hate is saying Flight Simulator 2024 and Halo the Master Chief Collection are coming to PS5 and Switch. So those games are just going multi-platform.
Multi-platform, yeah.
Which will no doubt cause some meltdowns amongst fanboys that Halo would be going multi-platform. But
the console wars, though. Think of the console wars.
That's a great get for Switch 2 players.
Yeah. Microsoft does have their developer direct happening the week after.
Oh, you think there's some connection with that? Okay, we have that later in the news. We'll talk about that.
Could be why that's a week later. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. He has also said that Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are coming to Xbox and Switch 2.
That seems to be a given, yeah.
Remake would be coming this year. Rebirth would be coming next year. No. I don't know if that's... This doesn't say if that's specific to Xbox or Switch 2 and both or whatever, but Square has said that they're changing their strategy to go
they said that a long time ago.
Multi-platform, this makes sense. Those are great games. To have the full Final Fantasy VII trilogy on the Switch 2, great.
Yeah, I think it's a great way
That's a feather in your hat.
To keep people, get more people to play these games before the final chapter comes out, the final game in this trilogy comes out. What a great way to get a bunch of new people playing these two games, right?
Right,
totally
exactly.
Smart.
And then finally, and most recently, said that Metal Gear Solid Delta and a half dozen Ubisoft games are coming to Switch 2.
Okay.
Not a huge surprise either. Metal Gear was a multi-platform game. That one did look pretty taxing graphically. I will say that seemed to be the main thing they were doing. That is making it look really nice.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that during Tokyo Game Show, and it looked pretty intense graphically.
Really nice
Beautiful,
graphics.
Yeah.
And the Ubisoft thing is not news at all. They're always first to jump on any new platform
possible
and support it as much as they possibly can. I think the report also mentioned some combination of Assassin's Creed games coming.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Whether it was Mirage, which was the game that came out last year, which you played. And
I played that
a
little bit. Yeah,
not
too much. It was very basic, but bring it over. It's
or
fine.
Shadows, which is the new game, which is coming out in a couple months.
Delayed again.
So I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised at any of that, as well as the obvious Just Dance and whatever stuff they've.
There's gonna be a sizzle reel with Just Dance in it that's gonna demonetize their video. That's what's gonna happen. That's my prediction. Yes.
There has been. Let's go to this one. I'm really jumping around here. You got to stay on your toes here.
Okay, I'm catching up.
There have been some discussion about the potential packaging for Switch 2 games.
Right.
And again, this is still in the rumor zone, so we don't know for sure. You know that the Switch game case is pretty narrow. It's narrower than a PS5 or a Wii U case or something. Apparently, it looks like the Switch 2 case is just back to the normal DVD case, both taller and wider.
What are you going to put in there? It's like a teeny little cartridge on the shelf.
When you went from Wii to Wii U, the color changed, but the box didn't change. When you went from DS to 3DS, the color changed, the box didn't change.
People got confused.
Now everything has changed. You cannot be confused.
Don't
the
be
box
confused.
is different. That's
Gotta look on the shelf.
I totally
This
buy
is for
this.
grandma.
Because this is like, they had some music. How are ways that we can reinforce that this is an entirely new system? And this was one of the things that some retail person cooked up.
Oh, for sure.
Great.
This is a very easy way. Like, this is how, this thing is going to display visually somewhere.
Yes.
And it's going to be, next to probably older Switch games.
Which will continue to be on the shelves and will continue to sell. Yeah.
So you need to have some way to differentiate it.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big empty box with like a teeny little cartridge inside.
Or perhaps nothing. In some cases, like just an empty box with a piece of paper.
Just a piece of paper, yeah.
Download
with a download code.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We have talked about this before. I think you were curious, what redesign do Switch games get going forward? For Super Mario Odyssey that will presumably stay on the shelves as an evergreen game. Do they put a sticker on that thing?
Yeah.
Do they completely redo the packaging? So, it's for Switch, but it plays on Switch too.
Yeah, are they going to go stick with the red?
Nintendo Switch Classic, does this become some Classics line? What happens with those? I'm very curious to see, get into the nitty gritty of all of that. Because again, we talk about why these things are so hard. There's so many details that you have to think of and be on top of.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to think of them all
at the same time.
Which is really early, or else you're late.
Yeah, exactly.
So you better not do that.
Yeah, I do wonder what the branding is going to look like too. Like they were so, the red forward branding. Blah, blah. I do wonder like if they're going to, they probably will continue with that, but.
Yes.
I mean, a way to differentiate it is to change your branding, right?
Yes.
And then that way people definitely know it's not an original Switch something.
Yeah.
But it might be harder to do that for them since they've already established the Switch brand.
There is new information on the saga of Genki at CES with their just waving around a Switch 2 here.
Yikes.
We should note. There's somebody we follow on Twitter who goes by Genki.
We met this person
very nice
in Japan.
Very nice guy.
Not the same person.
This is not him. This is a company that makes accessories.
Please leave him alone. He's a little scared.
He's had several frightened tweets of like, please know that this is not me.
Yeah.
Please do not come after me.
Don't come after me. I'm just a normal person.
But we were wondering what might be happening to Genki, if anything, and it sounds like they did get visited by the Nintendo lawyers. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this in our video around the leaks of like, how do we think this came to be? But, Genki was really flaunting this well in advance of CES, so Nintendo could have said, all right, we'll see you there, and be ready to talk to us. Or they saw on day one the extent of what they were showing and just how out there everything was, and they booked a flight, right then and there. Pack your bags, you're going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Ninjas in Vegas. Here we
go. This is like a sitcom waiting to happen.
This is a movie.
Nintendo Ninjas in Vegas.
It sounds like your favorite 80s movie.
Get me Puro! Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, where are you?
As Puro's in a cage in the back. Seems like Puro's still kicking around. I'm a little over Puro at the moment.
I'm over Puro
at the moment.
I haven't thought about Puro in a long time.
Yeah. So this report from Reddit says Nintendo shortly came to their CES booth with lawyers asking them what's up, and Genki responded that they did nothing wrong and never signed an NDA.
That's the thing.
And then Genki kind of changed their tune about all of this, and they said that their mock-up was merely based on rumored details that were out there in the public, and that they have not actually seen a Switch 2 with their own eyes, which was
a little backpedaling.
That would be a way to presumably be safe with this, because they're not an officially licensed accessories maker, so they're not under the obligation to follow Nintendo's marketing plan.
Yeah.
Like it's certainly risky and brazen, but if you want to take a guess and make something based on what's floating around out there, sure, I guess you can do that.
I guess you're only showing the concept of what that accessory might look
it's like. We're hedging our bets. We think this is it, and we made this thing. Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it is it, then we'll
if it's
produce
not,
it.
We'll trash those and we'll
do another one.
We'll start over.
It's probably like very low cost for them.
Yes. The big discussion point that could really be a legal conversation for them is there have been people saying you can get a Switch 2 on the Chinese black market, which that would be a very different conversation if they had that in their suitcase in the back, you know?
Yikes, so don't bring it around with you.
Or wherever it is, I don't know. We're going back to Treasure Island and you're showing me your suitcase, buddy.
Put it under the mattress.
Has Treasure Island been torn down? I haven't been to Vegas in a while. I heard they were tearing down the Mirage, too. I like the Mirage.
Oh,
the big volcano.
That one's cool.
That's a bummer. Siegfried and Roy, the White Tigers?
Those are tigers.
Those guys are long gone, right?
Long gone.
The whole thing.
I think it's gone.
Oh.
I don't think you're supposed to do that with tigers anymore.
I see. Understood.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I should go to Vegas.
All you can eat shrimp cocktail steak dinner for $1.99 and show me your suitcase.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that is happening in the realm of Switch 2 right now. It's kind of
My mind is like,
it's kind of nonstop. It's hard to stay on top of. You know, we present all of these things with a grain of salt. But again, like that GameStop thing, how else would that get in the GameStop system?
Somebody.
And then they report like, oh, the next day they got changed to just generic.
That happened all the time too. Like that would happen, and then we would get some notice when we were inside Nintendo from like the retail team. A whoopsie.
Yeah, retail's where these things can break down.
Retail leaks are like
pretty fast.
Retail manufacturing leaks are really like the place where you can confirm details. I think, right? So yeah.
In other Nintendo hardware news, there is a Lego Game Boy on the way. New Nintendo hardware in 2025, they put out a tease where you didn't really see the thing.
You saw some buttons?
Kind of at all.
Like a little flyover,
But there is a Lego Game Boy coming in October 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
How big is it going to be? Is it going to be like actual Game Boy size?
It would probably be, you could do a normal size
in your hand?
Game Boy.
Well, that's interesting.
There's so many games, like I saw they had like the Atari, like retro console Lego. There's some.
There must be a market for it.
There's some Pac-Man. I don't even know.
Lego and video games have just.
It seems to be working great for them, but it's like at what point is it too much? Like every time I'm in a store that sells Legos, I'm like, oh my gosh,
this is overwhelming amount of stuff.
This is too many Legos.
I'm looking this way because you got
somebody gave me
Bowser.
The Lego Bowser that I had somebody else build for me.
Now it's sitting on our shelf, looking very menacing.
It looks cool.
It's a cool display.
It looks cool.
Yeah, you're not a Lego builder.
No, I'm not.
But once it is built, it is a cool display item. So I can see like a collector.
I will neither pay for them nor build them. But if somebody else is willing to do those steps, I will display them.
Wow.
That's the
I'm very spoiled.
That's the extent that I'm willing to go to. Let's keep it rolling here. We have news of another delay for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was previously scheduled for late February, which is like a month and a half away.
No, it is
and
delayed.
we noted was in a really bad stretch where they were competing with Monster Hunter and Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii, whatever that name of that game is.
Yakuza Pirates.
Like a Dragon, Yakuza in Hawaii.
Pirates in Hawaii.
Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii.
Stop saying
Some
words.
combination of those words is the title. They have said, we've already made remarkable strides. We believe a few additional weeks are needed to implement the feedback and ensure an even more ambitious and engaging day one experience. Accordingly, the new release date is March 20th. We remain committed to delivering a high-quality, immersive experience fostered by ongoing dialogue between our players and the development team. So that kind of hints that there's going to be more changes on the fly once this thing comes out, I guess.
I guess so. They seem very nervous.
Well, look, this is a make or break game for Ubisoft.
It is.
This game has to be good. They cannot risk anything. So do you think is the delay to work on it more or to get away from those other games?
Maybe both.
It could be some combination of the two. But which one do you think is the bigger factor?
I think the bigger factor is getting away from.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I totally agree.
So I saw people saying like, "Oh, I'm really worried that they can't finish this game." It's like I think them just being proactive of this is going to hurt our sales.
Yeah, again, being this make or break moment for them, they need to just do everything in their power to give it the best chance
We have
possible.
this game about Japan. We have two of the biggest franchises from Japan launching. Like there's going to be a lot of overlap with our potential players here.
Exactly.
Bail out.
Right. Give this thing the best chance we can.
Right.
And and if that gives them some additional time to polish and do some stuff, great.
Yeah, so I'm actually quite a bit more positive on this move than I've seen people being.
This is one of the games in our Open Critic Fantasy League. This has to be good.
It has to be good.
We cannot lose.
I mean, this would be catastrophic for them on every possible level if this game comes out and gets like a 6.
Oh, I can't.
Can't happen.
There's no games that get a 6 now.
Bet the farm on Assassin's Creed. I mean, that's what they've done.
What kind of farm?
I'm not betting the farm.
Whose farm?
There's a farm in France that they have bet.
In the Loire Valley?
Yves Guillemot has bet the farm. The family Guillemot farm.
The chateau?
Yes.
De Guillaume?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So we shall see, but and again, we'll see if this is one of these Switch 2 games. If this gets confirmed for Switch 2, are you playing it now or later?
Probably later. You can play now?
I might be pretty excited to check this game out.
I might be deep in Monster Hunter, and still on March 30th, March 20th. Sorry.
A lot of people have pointed out
Monster Hunter is going to take over all of my time.
Ghost of Yotei is also on the docket for this year, and the longer they wait with this game, the closer it gets to that game.
Ooh,
people could just be like, well, I'm just going to wait for that.
You're on two sides of the danger zone here. You got to thread the needle.
I've said for a long time now, I've been nervous about them doing an Assassin's Creed game in Japan. And I think this process has really come to bear out every reason why I was nervous. Even though I had a hard time articulating it, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for these reasons.
They've tried really hard to stay on top of it and be very proactive about addressing some of these challenges and stuff like that, but you can just see the struggle. It's so real, you know?
Yeah.
It's tough when you have this kind of just this tide that you feel like you're just swimming against it. It must be exhausting for them.
Totally. Yeah. Last news story, the Xbox Developer Direct for this year, they always do one of these early in the year, is coming on January 23rd. That's next week.
Yes.
Second half of next week for an exclusive deep dive into some of the exciting games coming to Xbox in 2025.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that in their graphic, they don't bill the games, they bill the studios. Mm-hmm. So you have id with the new Doom game, Compulsion Games, South of Midnight.
Yep.
Standfall Interactive. What is their game?
That is the Expedition 33.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. And then they also have a mystery game.
People have saying the mystery game is a Japanese dub.
So this is a new thing that is going around. I'll just read this quote. There's also a mysterious fourth game, and I won't spoil what it is, but our sources indicate that it is a new entry and a legendary Japanese IP, which has decades of history and should make a lot of fans happy. So Zelda. Okay, they're getting Zelda. This is like an IP swap.
It's an IP swap.
Right. They get Halo, we get Zelda. Got it.
This is like a kidnapper.
They're both green.
It's like what is it like when you have prisoner swap?
Prisoner swaps, yes.
You take Master Chief and I'll take Link.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any guesses at what that could be?
Legendary Japanese IP.
Platinum
Games could be possible.
Platinum Games is toast. I'm sorry.
Could come back in a way.
I'm a little.
Kamiya left, and then we were.
They're in pretty shaky ground lately.
Yeah. Could it be Konami?
I'm hesitant to get too excited about this because I remember the last Developer Direct. It was like the new what was it, Visions of Mana, which is you could say the same thing. They have decades of history with that series, but I wouldn't say that it's like a super duper top tier series or that was a top tier game.
All right.
So I am being very cautious with this tidbit here. Okay. It's a Japanese game, is what people are saying.
Japanese
fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
You think any of these games or anything?
Yeah, could be Metal Gear. Sure.
Metal Gear.
Sure.
Maybe they're putting Delta on everything.
Fine. Yeah, I think they've already announced it for Xbox.
Well, that's not very exciting then.
I mean, none of these are new announcements.
That's true. I guess you can
These are just updates. Deep dives into the exciting games coming in 2025.
Deep dives. Okay. All right.
So
Fine.
yeah.
Some of these games look great. The Doom game looks amazing. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited for the first two.
Midnight looks really good too.
The third one, where I've already forgotten the name again.
That one looks good.
I need a refresher. What is that game?
That is like an RPG style game. But you know who is a voice actor in this game? Is our good friend Ben Starr. So now you have to care.
Oh, okay. Was this at the Game Awards?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it was announced during the summer showcase that we were at.
I will refresh.
That you seem to have forgotten all about.
There were a lot of games. I'll refresh my memory on that one. But yeah, the first two games I'm excited for, and yeah, whatever this mystery game is. Okay.
Yeah.
We shall be tuning in to that.
Yes.
But yeah, it feels like Xbox got some good momentum now.
We're doing some stuff.
Yeah,
End of January, doing this nice event. This is great.
Great. Okay. We're coming back around
right.
to the games we are playing. Bit of a shorter list, maybe this week.
What happened to Infinity Nikki?
Well, I don't know. You don't update this list, so if you have things to talk about, you have to tell me. So I'll just go ahead and add that.
Just keep that on there forever.
Infinity
I'm always going to be playing Infinity
added.
Nikki.
I'm going to start because I have a new game to talk about.
I want to play this game.
This game is called Dungeon Clawer, not Crawler. Clawer. C-L-A-W. And I had a very long flight back from Asia, about 10 plus hours, and I played this game for a very good chunk of it on a Steam Deck. I think it's PC. Oh, no, there's a mobile version of it as well.
Ooh.
There's a mobile version. But the idea of this game is it's another run-based game, and as I said to you, we may have hit the point where there's too many run-based games, but this is a fun one, where you are going through a dungeon and doing these battles with enemies, but all of your moves and all the things that you are collecting are done through claw machines. Mm-hmm. So the game screen, like in a battle, like there's your little character and then there's an enemy. And for your move, you do the claw machine.
Oh, I love
and you
that.
grab like a handful of these balls that are in there, and some of them are different weapons, some of them are like shields that give you defensive boosts, some of them are special items, and along the way you kind of accumulate more things that are in your pool of balls.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, there's like a lot of like fun, there's a really good variety of things that you can collect. You can power them up. Some of them have different synergies. Some of them have different elements. So there's quite a bit of depth. Like you think a claw machine, it's like, well, that's just random dumb luck. Like, how is that fun? Mm-hmm. But like you can actually, try and grab the thing.
Can you see what's in there?
You can totally see.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what you are going after and, and what you're grabbing. And sometimes it's like, well, I think I can get this, but like there are times where you'll come back up and you have nothing, and you just miss that turn.
Oh no!
And
it's devastating.
Once you complete a run with a character, you unlock all these other difficulty levels. So the base difficulty is not that hard. I was able, with the initial starting character, to beat the run, like I think it was like my second time.
Okay.
But there's multiple difficulty levels above that. So I don't think they were trying to make the first run that. They want you to do that.
Yeah, they want you to beat it, yeah.
And there's some really interesting characters. Like there's probably 10, 12 characters that I saw. Maybe there's more that you can unlock that all play pretty differently. And one that I was really liking, every turn you get two turns, two claw pulls.
Okay.
So with this character, your first pull is just the normal claw, but the second claw has a magnet on it. Oh. So anything that is metal just gets
stuck to it.
Stuck to the magnet. And I had a really good run where I was like, well, obviously I'm just going to go for all the metals, like swords,
shields,
metal shields, armor. And I was just wrecking shop with all this metal stuff because this guy was just sucking that up. There's another character that has like a little pet. You can get pet. You can pull a cat and a cat carrier out of the
cute!
And have that help you. This person has a permanent cat carrier. So there's a lot of good variety for it. This game was like $10. Like I said, it's on Steam. There's a mobile version that I haven't tried it, but I could totally see how it's not like fast twitch gaming.
Yeah, so it would work well on a mobile version.
Yeah, it is in early access. I'm pretty sure I picked up a demo for this in some Steam Next Fest before it launched, and it was in rough shape, but the version I played seems totally fine, but there will be some enhancements.
More polished,
and I hope it comes I hope it comes to some version of a Switch or other consoles because
Yeah.
it's cool. It deserves a bigger audience.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like everything about this. It sounds fun because I love a claw machine.
I know that about you.
You know that I have a bad habit with claw machines that I always drag you to these.
A bad
places.
habit that's called an addiction. Yes.
That makes me spend lots
Waste
of money.
money.
Yes. Give me the money. It's gonna waste. I'm not gonna waste money here. It's imaginary.
It's a safe place.
I wanted to get a claw machine for the office, and you said no.
No, they do sell those.
I think we should get
Arcade One Up, that company, they have a claw.
Cute. We have a room for
We
it.
don't have room for any of that stuff. We don't. I'm telling you now, don't do that. Put it in your own house. If you're so big on it, put it in your own house.
No, I want it here.
I don't want that treasure.
And you can have like we put little notes in there. Like it's like, oh, you get a day off, or you can take a day. No, let's take a day off. Free. This person has to like bring you a coffee.
Clean the office. You get a bad one.
A bad one.
It's like a fortune cookie almost.
It's like a fortune cookie.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Has to do a little task.
I'll think about that.
You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it.
I'll think about it. It's a big maybe.
It's a big no is what it is.
All right, Infinity Nikki, here we go.
Oh boy, Infinity Nikki, that makes me happy. There are more special events in Infinity Nikki. Wow, I'm just amazed. Like now I follow them on like literally every channel because I want to know what's going on.
You're a big fan, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so much fun because not only do they have like, they can give you info on like the next development update, like there's a new update coming and they're telling you like what the cool things are added are. They do little teaser campaigns for like what's going to be in the game upcoming, but they also give you lots of gifts. So I have come into some new like currency because of the new updates, and now I was able to get like a lot more progress on making my next big main quest thing is to do all of these tasks to make the next outfit.
Yes.
And yeah, I do really like that kind of progression where you kind of feel like once you complete one aspect of the main quest that's like pretty involved, the next part of it feels like almost impossible. But the game does a good job of like, we're gonna give you some additional resources, or like we'll unlock something for you where you can like use that to help you in your progress. So now it doesn't feel as daunting, because when I first looked at the next thing I had to do, I was like, how am I ever gonna do? I'm so far from the requirements to make this thing. Like, how am I ever gonna do it? But yeah, so I've been still going back every single day. Like I have a little routine now where like I'll collect my little, gifts. I'll like try to get some new outfits. I'll do like some of the little side quests and things like that. So it really does feel like how I used to play Animal Crossing games, where you just go in for it's like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you can move on to something else. But it's become like part of my daily routine.
Okay.
It's like really nice. It's like very relaxing thing to do. Like I'll usually do this right before I start making dinner. So like from like 5 to 5:15, I'll like play a little bit of Infinity Nikki, and then I'll get ready to like make dinner and do like, my stuff for the evening. But I really like that. I really like how they give you so much incentive to keep going back, but you also don't feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't play for, 20 hours a day, I can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's really good. Like it continues to just capture me, and I really like love how kind of like alive the world feels, and it's just constantly being updated. And yeah, I feel like I've been playing this game for a long time.
You have?
I think I might be playing it like all year. Like I
Wow.
don't see myself.
All right.
I can't
I
see
will
myself,
no longer delete it from the document.
I really can't see myself like getting out of this routine like anytime soon. I was bragging the other day. I was like, I'm almost level like 35. I feel like I'm so accomplished. And then somebody in our Discord was like, I'm level 50. I was like, that's really.
I have seen somebody who's really fallen for this game is if you listen to the 8-4 podcast, you'll recognize the name Gaijin Hunter. Who is such a big part of the Monster Hunter community and making all these guides, and I definitely watched a lot of his guides and videos.
Stuff, yeah.
I think he's semi-retired as far as doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's might be tough to do that.
Like, what is the overlap between Monster Hunter and Infinity Nikki?
It is the idea of collecting all these resources and crafting armor. Basically,
what
your
I thought.
outfits are armor, right?
Yeah.
It's like the same thing as, your Monster Hunter armor. So I can definitely see
that's
that.
interesting.
And because the clothing, the brilliant part about this game is just like, it's not just like clothes. I mean, it is clothes that make you look really cool and cute, but it also does something.
Right.
Like the clothing is a gameplay mechanic. Like every outfit that you craft does something, and you can upgrade them and it's very much like Monster Hunter, where the armor actually is like something that you're using in your everyday gameplay, which is I think a very smart way of making it more than just kind of like a shallow dress up, like what's the point of me doing this? Like you feel like, oh, there is a point, So really good, and it's just beautiful game.
It really is. Yeah. From that to Elden Ring,
I know this is
you got range.
Literally daily, my routine is I'll play my Infinity Nikki when I get home from work and like start to wind down, and then like eat dinner, and then when I settle in for like my evening gaming time, which is usually when I play games, I'll sit with Elden Ring and really try to make some progress.
Well, hopefully you're spending some time with Metroid Prime.
I am. I know.
You sent me a message which was so on brand. You said, I may not be as far into Metroid Prime as I thought I was. And I
made some progress over the weekend.
Here comes another all-nighter.
I have made some progress. This is the thing.
We scheduled the time for that spoiler cast, so you now have a deadline.
I know. This is the thing with me is like when oh man, I'm just so sucked into these two games right now. It's been so hard.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime is an amazing game, and whenever I pull myself away to play Metroid Prime,
and the 5 minutes a night that you devote to it.
No, I have been playing it. I'm now at least 5 hours in now, but like it's like once I get into it, I'm like, oh, this is so good, it's so fun. Like I love this game. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
But like, it's hard for me right now because I'm just so like, I'm so entranced with Infinity Nikki and Elden Ring for some reason. I'm just like really into it right now. But anyways, Elden Ring though, this DLC is incredible. Like I'm so
Game of the Year, would you say?
I can see why I got nominated, guys. Like honestly, I feel like I'm not trying to be like say this with like a lot of hyperbole or whatever, but like honestly, playing this DLC really solidified that this is one of my favorite games of all time, and I think it's my number 2 favorite game of all time
after
Mario World, obviously. I can't let that one go from the number 1 spot just for nostalgic reasons. But like, I'm just amazed at this game. Like honestly, like every time I play it, I'm like, how did they make this game? How did they do this? And the same thing that happened to me with the base game happened to me again with the DLC, where I just on a whim was like looking through the games that were still on my PS5 that I had downloaded but not gotten too far in, and I was like, oh yeah, I should like tinker around with this for a little bit. Like might as well paid for the game, and I jumped back in and I was like poking around a little bit and kind of, a little bit intimidated because I was like, oh, gotta get back into this. I don't know how to play this game. And then just like in the base game where I was like, I'll play this game for an hour and then I'll probably stop. I literally said that to myself with this DLC. I'll play this game for an hour and then I'll probably stop. And then I got hooked. I totally got hooked. And now I am 2 bosses away from the end. So,
that close.
I know.
Wow.
I just beat a really big boss last night that I've been working on for about 2 days, and I felt so good. I was so proud of myself. What I realized that is such like an amazing thing with this game is they not only have balanced the challenge so well, but they're so like the game is so like well done in a way where you just feel like you continually are making progress. Like no matter what you're doing in this game, whether you're fighting a boss 20, 30, 50 times, or you're exploring and trying to get somewhere or get a new save point or get a new weapon or get a new spell, you just incrementally feel like you're progressing forward somehow.
Right.
Like it on paper, it really should be a game that's incredibly frustrating. Like you should feel like you're just banging your head against a brick wall, like there's no way I can play this game. But somehow they made it so every single time you do something, you're like, oh, okay, I learned one thing new. Okay, now I can do this thing flawless. I can dodge this flawlessly every single time now. Okay, my next mission is to figure out this portion of the fight. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just something very addictive about that gameplay loop. So I'm so in. I'm gonna beat this thing.
So no fire giant experiences so far. You said you respect recently.
I respect again.
So what were you before and what are you now?
I'm very similar to what I was before. I'm an like a Spellblade mage, basically. I was that at the end of the base game. A lot of like glintstone magic stuff. I still have a lot of like range spells, which I like to use.
Lasers?
Lasers have been nerfed, so now I have new things. So there's some cool new spells, which I love. This is like my favorite part of the game, is like collecting, like doing the quest lines for the cool new spells. So there's some cool new spells. I had to respect to use them. So I did a little bit of that. I'm level 152 now. It's crazy stuff.
What's the cap? 200?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Can't
Okay.
be. Can't.
No cap?
Yeah, I heard the last two bosses are absolutely brutal.
I've heard that too. But that's what people said about this thing overall. So who knows? If you've been breezing through, then maybe
I'm not breezing through.
Keep breezing.
I'm working hard, but
Right.
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
I gotta do some quest lines to get like. I'm one of those people that give me all the summons. I'm gonna use my own summons.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna use every character.
Are there new summons in this?
Yes, so many new summons.
What's the best new summon?
There's this big like troll guy.
Oh.
It's basically a huge tank, a shield for me. It's
Perfect.
squishy.
Perfect.
So I use that, and then there's also another guy that like shoots like fire cannonballs.
This is better than the Mimic.
My mimic is squishy like me.
Oh, I really love my Mimic.
Your mimic's
Yeah.
probably great because
Yeah.
you're like a
Stronger
tank,
guy, yeah.
right? So. Yeah, my mimic kind of. I mean,
okay.
unless she's doing damage,
Yeah,
I'm just so high on the damage, you know.
Right.
Yeah, like now I am at a point where like every hit from my weakest spell does like 3,500 at least. So it's like you can't steal too much aggro, you know.
Yeah.
Because I gotta stand really far away.
Right.
But yes, it's so fun. And the dungeons are so good in this one. Like oh my gosh, you're just like beautiful. You're like marveling at the way the game looks all the time. You walk into a room, you're like, wow, like this is crazy. You walk in, you like go into a new area, you're like, oh my gosh, how did they come up with this design? And the enemies are like disgusting as usual, like horrifyingly disgusting and weird, and pots are running at you and guts are falling.
Well, I'm looking forward to your reordered top games of 2024 list once you finish this.
So good.
We can do that as a never a minute segment.
Can you play this game, please?
I'm playing Metroid Prime like a good guy.
You gotta beat the base game and play this.
I gotta level up. I need power leveling is what I need. Because I was
help you?
under-leveled is the problem.
Yeah, what level are you at? Probably 130?
Oh, I'm way below that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if I cracked 100. Because when I told it, like, oh, how did you even get to that last boss?
How did you do it?
I don't know. I'm just playing this game.
Oh man,
I
no
don't know.
wonder you had such a hard time.
So that's why I would just have to spend a lot of time leveling. So if you have any tips on that,
because there's tons of places where you can like really power level fast now.
Okay.
So in the DLC especially, you can just there's some enemies that are super. You just do that for an hour and probably be fine.
All right.
Oh, it's so good.
There you go.
So good. I mean, yes, I am still playing Metroid. We have that scheduled for the end of the month, and we're going to be doing some good spoiler cast stuff for that.
Indeed.
So, yes.
Let's move on to questions from our community. We get all of these from our Patreon community, to be specific. Check us out at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta for some great exclusive content and a chance to ask us a question. We have some longer questions today, so settle in as I read through these.
Read it to me like a story.
First question is from Banana Bread Slice. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Assuming the Switch 2 is about to be announced with a release over the next few months, at what point will various people inside Nintendo be able to play with the hardware on a regular basis? Will members of the marketing and communications team have Switch 2s that they can play with and get to know before the launch? You've shared the story of going to Nintendo HQ in Washington to see the original Switch for a hands-on demonstration. But at what point did you have a Switch at your disposal? Whether it was one you owned or one made available in the office, or did you have to wait until the console released to have one to play? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, definitely people have played and seen and touched the system at this point.
And once it gets announced, more people
Exactly.
will also
They'll do the
be able to do
grand
that
tour.
same experience.
Yeah, for those remote offices that we used to have back in the day, we would have, Treehouse people on literally on a grand tour and would bring it around every couple of
Right, but we did not have a
weeks.
switch on site.
No.
Somebody had to literally bring it to us.
Yeah, it was like
and
lock
sit
and
in
key.
the room.
Yeah, dev units.
As we played with those.
Right.
So that was a bit of a limitation where it was just not, an arm's reach away.
I'm trying to think about timing. I think that we got our retail Switch maybe about 3 weeks before launch.
I don't think it was that much.
Was it 2 weeks?
It was. I think it was between 1 and 2 weeks.
Oh wow, that late,
It was kind of a tight window.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that late. I remember it was a couple weeks. I wasn't sure it was 3 weeks or 2 weeks. You know what? I do remember this moment that I had where I was like, am I gonna get the Switch, my own retail version, before I go on that tour?
Yeah.
And I did get it. Mm-hmm. So that was about 8 days before.
Yeah, so about a week or so.
And I remember we did the unboxing video.
Right.
And then I took it on tour. I took it with me, but I was nervous, scared, because I had obviously couldn't be pulling it out in an airplane, playing it before the thing came out.
Yeah.
So I was squirreling this thing away and playing it.
I remember
in
that was also the unit that we were using for another Nintendo Minute video.
Yeah.
And you had Mr. Takahashi and Mr. Koizumi. You needed.
Yes. Oh, I was so mad.
You were like, I'll get that in the morning. And I'm going to go where we need to go into San Francisco to do these meetings.
Yes.
And I got stuck in traffic, and I was a little bit late. And I'd never seen you more angry at me.
I was so stressed out because
because those guys were just waiting.
They were waiting.
Yeah,
I didn't want to keep them waiting,
Yeah.
and they were impatient.
Tapping the toe.
Yes. And it was literally this moment where I was standing in your office, tapping my foot. Where is it? Where is it? And then I think I grabbed it from you, and then we
had some choice words, and then you ran away.
Yes, I was very upset.
Well, I'm sorry.
Should be.
Sorry.
Should say sorry to Mr. Takahashi.
I don't control the traffic.
Kept him waiting.
Sorry.
Kept him waiting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as early as you would think. But you do get it a couple weeks early. Usually, games and stuff, you do get a couple weeks early. Hardware's a little bit tougher. But yeah, we actually...
We should say, we bought those systems.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
We were not given those systems.
No. You cannot be... No. You're not given the systems.
Yeah.
You had to buy them with your own money. You get an employee discount.
We get a little discount.
30% off,
but we were not just handed, here you go.
No.
Your very own personal Switch.
People were kind of mad about that, honestly. They were like, I can't believe they're making me buy this. What if I didn't want to buy it? And then someone was like, I think someone's boss was like, no, you have to buy it. I'm like, okay.
Oh, man.
I guess I'm not have a choice. I'm like, can I have a $336 raise so I can buy a system? Yeah.
But yeah, that is a big point, which is once this thing gets revealed, the number of people who obviously everybody knows about it, it's confirmed, and then you can do other internal events where people can go through that same experience and get up to speed on it.
Right.
And at that point, more people will be working on it too. So
Exactly.
if you're one of those poor souls who was working on the initial reveal, where there's it's really like a skeleton crew, there are some reinforcements on the way, although they may be scared by leaks.
Yeah.
At which point
Maybe
they may limit they may let you hold. I don't know if they're going to let you play through. They may just let you hold a system. And be like, don't turn that on.
Until that preview event.
Right. Then
when they show the UI,
then they can see more.
Yeah. Maybe they'll let you take up the magnets on and off. Click, click.
All you get to do are magnets.
All you get to do is magnet things. That's it.
Great.
Oh, boring.
Next question is from Dexter. Hi, Kit and Krysta. In your episode discussing the Switch launch, both of you had mentioned that the third-party relations team had a giant flowchart plotting all the partner releases. In subsequent episodes, and very recently, both of you had also commented that getting certain games was very high on their priority list. With Switch 2 being a known quantity, third parties are likely eager to bring lots of games early, especially ports of games that didn't make it out on the Switch. So the third-party relations team may have a challenge with a big release list of too many games too early. Do you foresee this being a concern at Nintendo, and could Nintendo guide partners to pace their releases? I ask this question because of prior experience with Wii U and 3DS. Both were follow-ups to highly successful Nintendo products, and third parties were there day one, but it all felt like they released their games at the same time, many of them ports, cannibalizing each other's sales on a user base not large enough to support their games. This resulted in disappointing sales and withdrawal of support. I'm concerned this may happen with the Switch 2's release and hope Nintendo can say no to some ports or tell them to release certain games later for maximum impact. Thank you both for your time. Love the podcast and Happy New Year.
Yeah, I think it's a game of like, understanding the release year calendar and making sure that you have just a ton of content to support that machine, And it's not only that, but I think they're going to have to take a more discerning eye to the quality of games and the caliber of games coming to Switch 2. Like on the Switch, they may have had a lower bar because it wasn't a known quantity back then.
Yeah.
But now, yes, you're totally right. People are going to be clamoring to be part of this, to be on this console.
It's going to be AAA Clock 2 and H-Word Puzzle Pack 97 are going to be the big launch games.
That's the big launch games.
Yes.
But I do think that their bar is going to be pretty high in terms of which games they're going to be actively doing marketing around, which games are getting the spotlight, which games are going to be prioritized, which partners are going to be prioritized. Like, those are the things that the third-party team is working on right now.
Yes.
And will really roll out. And I think that they are going to be really, like, looking at those AAA third-party games. I unfortunately think that smaller indie games, and unless it's like a really like popular indie game.
Well, the eShop's kind of a different story.
The eShop's a different story, but what they're going to be marketing and publicizing in those directs is going to be way more. The bar is way higher.
Especially if you're just rolling over the existing eShop.
Exactly.
Then you're already launching with thousands and thousands of things
of stuff in the library.
You're launching
in
with a big mess.
Library, with a big giant mess of shovelware. But like I think like anything that they're going to be supporting, that Nintendo is officially supporting, is going to be a AAA title. So I think it's going to be harder for indies to.
There will be some indies that they handpick. Like look at us supporting these indies.
Yes, but
giving them a seat at the table.
It's not going to be as much as Switch. I think Switch, really, in the early days of Switch, original Switch, it was like the indie machine, as we called it.
Yes.
And indies were really like propping up Switch. I do think there is going to be a bit of a different approach from the third-party team, and they are going to be looking at like Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth versus like X, cat game or whatever.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the day one release lineup is really important. That's a major announcement that we'll probably get whenever they do this next beat. And then there's also the launch window. Remember the launch window where you have to go, well, how long is the launch window? It's
year.
It goes a little while.
Like year long.
Nobody really wanted to define what that is. Yeah, they can give advice and they can talk to these partners, but ultimately they can't tell them. Like, you cannot release this game.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody's like, no, it's ready, I'm releasing it day one, like, they kind of can't tell them not to.
They could probably tell the partner, like, hey, we can't support you, though.
Right.
At this time.
Yeah. And maybe we could later, so they can try and give them an incentive.
Exactly.
Like, oh, yeah, we'll save a spot for you in our booth, or we've got this showcase where we can show it.
Showcase coming up. You want
so
they can kind of steer.
Yeah, they can dangle a carrot to try and get them.
But some people are just going to say no.
To wait, but other people, every company has its own reasons. Like, who knows? Like, we need this money now, or we can't wait, or it's on other platforms and it's launching then, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that first day one, and they're looking at audiences. Like, what do we have?
Do we not have?
All of our audiences covered.
Right. Are we missing?
Because obviously Nintendo games cover a wide range of the people who are coming to the platform for that. But people want other things, and Mr. Iwata had that theory. It's like people need to have, I think, 3 games that they want to get over the hump to buying it. So
it's like how you need to watch 3 episodes of a Netflix show.
You kind of want to. You kind of want to make sure, do people have 3 games? Does everybody have the 3 games for themselves on day one to go buy the thing?
Does your biggest possible audience have 3 things?
Yeah.
That's the challenge, because those people are all really different. They might want different 3 things.
Right.
So you need to diversify that portfolio. And that's where third parties do come in to help you do that.
Yeah, it's like role-playing games, action-oriented games, multiplayer games, all that stuff.
Casual games, party games,
right.
AAA titles. No, like games with big recognizable names. Like you got to really play that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Tuscoob's next. Hi, Kit and Krysta. In the DK versus Switch 2 conundrum, and obviously this is referring to the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which would be coming out the same day as this reveal presumably is happening. In the DK versus Switch 2 conundrum fighting for a reveal day, which do you think came first? Was the Switch 2 date penciled in first? In either case, would a seemingly straight port of Donkey Kong Country Returns not be easier to move forwards or backwards a week? Why do you think this clashing date had to happen? For a similar question, as you were working on the original Switch reveal, this exact issue happened with Mario Party Star Rush on 3DS in Japan. Why did this happen back then? Thanks for your experience, insight, and time.
I don't remember that.
In Japan.
I was working on the Switch launch. I do think that the Switch 2 date was a little fluid for quite a while.
Yeah.
They were really figuring stuff out. I mean, it's hard. You got to figure out, like, okay, are we ready? Like, physically ready? You know, like, yes, this hardware is like done.
Right.
Like we can make
so
it.
when did Donkey Kong was announced? Was that in the June?
That was in the
Direct? I don't recall. But yeah, I agree with you that I think that was probably the game that they had penciled in first.
I think so too.
Because if they knew the Switch 2 date first, they would have just picked a different date for Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Switch 2 dates was just fluid.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus the other way around. And we talked about this, as far as picking announcement dates or launch dates, which is something we, helped to propose when we worked on the communications team. You're always looking for the best option, but the best option doesn't mean that there aren't any drawbacks.
Right.
So if they said, well, we want to announce sometime in January after CES, like what are you kind of picking against? Like, well, we know Microsoft does a big event in January. We wouldn't want to do that on the same day. That would be bad. We know there's a holiday. There's, there's Martin Luther King Day. We have the presidential inauguration that's happening. You don't want to go up against that. And you're kind of whittling down the number of days. Yeah. And at some point, you're like, well, here's 2 or 3 days that would work, but here's the cons to each of those.
Yeah, there's a con for each of them.
So, hey, Doug Bowser, you take this back and you confer with your people and you let me know what you want to do.
Figure it out.
And we'll support that and we'll make the best of that.
Right.
So, yeah, just picking the best date doesn't mean that there's always going to be no negatives.
Especially with Nintendo, too. They have such a busy calendar. Like, we used to complain about this all the time.
It's true.
We used to complain about being stuck on the campaign launch, like the game launch treadmill. Because as soon as you're done launching one game, you gotta launch the next game, the next game. And by the end of the year, you're exhausted. And that's just the pace of this company. So it is very difficult for them to find a clear date, honestly. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, here are some options. This is the best out of the 3. We don't, again, for all these reasons around Donkey Kong, the remake, we're feeling okay about it. Especially because Switch is backwards compatible, or Switch 2 is backwards compatible. So let's work toward let's make the best of that.
Yeah, and I think in this case, they looked at like, well, what's the impact on Donkey Kong going to be? It's probably not a game that was going to have huge day one sales. Yeah. It's probably a game that will sell over time. Mm-hmm. Put that on the shelves, people see, oh, Donkey Kong, I'll get that. Yeah. So the impact to that is probably
very low.
Not that high to the point where they're like, yeah, we can live with this.
And the reviews for this game came out today, which is probably what they expected. Very mediocre, kind of middle of the road. It's not going to be game busters or anything like that. So it's just a different kind of game.
Yes.
It's not to say that they don't think, this release is so unimportant that they're just going to who cares?
Right. Also notable, those reviews came out today and not tomorrow.
Exactly.
For a game that they kind of knew was maybe not going to get 9s and 10s.
Exactly. That's very true, too.
We got to make sure.
Clear the deck.
We're recording this Tuesday. That's when the reviews came out, Tuesday morning, not Wednesday morning.
If they knew that
because we got something else happening
If
Wednesday.
They knew that these reviews were going to be in the 7s, which they probably did, they would have released the reviews on a Wednesday in any given situation.
Yeah, later.
But since they have something to do this week.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yes.
Last question's from Paul Gale Network, who has some hypotheticals for us here.
Okay.
If these were your options, which would you choose? Buy a physical copy of Metroid Prime 4 for $70 for Nintendo Switch and be able to play the game as is on both Switch and Switch 2. But in order to, quote, max out its performance on the latter, have to pay $10 upgrade charge.
Oh.
Option 2. buy a physical copy of Metroid Prime 4 for $70 for Nintendo Switch 2, having it already be optimized for that console, but not be able to use that cartridge on Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
And finally, buy a digital copy of Metroid Prime 4 for $70 and be able to play it on either Switch as is or on Switch 2 maxed out for no additional cost.
You already know what my answer is going to be.
So I chose this question because more than just which of these options we would pick. These are all pretty complicated options.
Yeah.
And we're all wondering what solutions are going to be in place for backwards compatibility.
And for anything dual SKU.
You just need something simple. Otherwise people get confused. And like I don't think any of these would actually work in a large-scale mainstream setting, because like, wait, I have to pay.
Do what now?
I bought it. I have to pay more. What? It says on the bottle. I don't understand. Like, like
that's tough.
The regular person's threshold to getting confused is so low. You really have to make it like explain it in one sentence or less for them to grasp it. Otherwise, like it just may not work.
Yeah. You might have to,
and that's what I mean.
Charge the extra money to.
That's one of the reasons.
It.
That's one of the many reasons why the Wii U just didn't work. Because like we saw, like later on, we were doing these infographics, and it was like 20 things in an intro graphic, and most people are not reading past the first thing. It's like you lost me, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just gets more and more complicated.
It gets more and more.
So they need a simple solution to this, and they need a simple solution to all of this.
Yeah.
Like to your thing, like play anywhere, anytime with anyone. Like what is the one line?
What's your one line
thing? It's like, oh, I get it.
Exactly. And it also has to feel next gen.
I don't know.
And it has to feel modern and different from the original Switch. Oh, that's
just add in 4K to that sentence.
Experience your life in 4K. Good.
Right. So what are you choosing? C
Obviously
here?
C, yeah.
And let me look at these again. Play the game as is, max out, pay $10 upgrade, physical copy on Switch 2, not be able to, oh no. I'd probably go with B, because I don't know why I would be, if it's a game that I'm getting on Switch 2, why would I be playing it on my original Switch?
Maybe you want to share with somebody, but they only have an original Switch.
Right. I'd probably go with B.
You're getting a physical copy of Metroid Prime?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
No, thanks.
No? That's one I gotta go physical for.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe
if it's in a steel box.
Maybe I could line up keep my streak going of having my Retro Studios friends sign it. Send it in.
They definitely will do that for you.
I don't know. We'll see.
They will. Of course they will.
I love Retro Studios.
Oh yeah, I love them too.
I have to buy physical.
Is it in a steel box?
I don't care. Whatever it is, I'm gonna buy it.
Give it to me in a steel box. I'll buy it.
You're not getting anything. Give me a break.
What?
Oh, just give me a steel box. No, you're getting digital, and that's all.
Okay, fine.
$70. You better get a voucher. There won't be vouchers.
They're not going to be vouchers.
Vouchers are
the
gone.
voucher days are over. You're paying full price, guys.
Yeah.
Full price.
Vouchers are long gone.
Oh, gee.
All right. Those are all the questions. Thanks to everybody who sent them in. Quite an episode we had today. Feel the excitement.
Feel the
tangible
energy.
In the air. Before we wrap up, don't forget to subscribe to us at patreon.com/KitandKrysta. For just a couple dollars a month, you can support us and get exclusive content, early access to this podcast and all sorts of other great videos, and join a wonderful community of like-minded gamers.
It really cannot be a better time to join than this year, where we have so much excitement with a new hardware launch, and there's going to be so much content we're going to be making. And so much fun we're going to be having with our Patreon community. So yes,
the light has come back into your eyes. I can see it.
It's true. I was like asleep last year, I think.
Compare you playing Princess Peach Showtime to you right now. Big difference.
To me playing Infinity Nikki? Oh boy! Follow us on social. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, and Threads.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Give this podcast a thumbs up and leave us a written comment. And if you are listening on audio, you can also subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a written review if you please. All of those things really help us out a lot.
All right, let's wrap it up with shouting out our wonderful Patreon community, starting with Aaron Hash. Aaron Hash has moved down from the top row to the second row.
We had to make room for this.
We gotta make room for this massive
very large
sword.
But I'm glad it fits because we weren't sure initially.
And it looks so good.
Like,
Don't you guys think it looks so good?
It's really cool.
I think it looks
that
great
stand
on
goes a long way.
camera.
Aaron Hash, though.
Aaron Hash is amazing. Also looks very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. All right, superstars. Ben Eichhorn.
Maru Mayhem.
Eigenverse.
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Chin.
Roy Eschke.
Switching it up, _
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of Wind.
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly.
Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf.
Roberto Nieves.
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas.
Chili.
Simon.
Crushuri.
Master Discord.
Ash.
Ajay Kunlas.
40 Gig.
Travis Torline.
And Echo Ledare, our newest superstar. 2 weeks consecutive. 2 new superstars.
Look at this wonderful mix of wonderful people. The
Amazing.
superstars get the real stuff. They get me at my worst.
They get the real talk.
They get the real.
What's you at your worst? That doesn't sound great.
And I'm like, help me, superstars! And they always help me. They always do. They're so talented. I love them so much. All right, here come the One Up Club. Aaron Burgundy.
Adcool 2000.
Ali Alejandro.
Aristu.
Astro Dev.
Awesome 46.
Axel.
Bates.
Benji B.
Big and Gamer with a Y.
Brandon Kvapel.
Brent Dennison.
Brovak Novak.
Bruce Dash.
Bucky Flores.
Cameron.
Shadir.
Shelly Squirrel.
Crispy Saurus.
Chris Galvin.
Christopher Lay.
Captain Alex.
C Roper 17.
Dallas E.
Dachshund.
Devi P.
Doinko.
Dre.
Dude Dad Life _ Tyreek. Oh, no, wait, hold on. Dude Dad Life _ Trilek.
Eccentric Tony.
Elite Peach.
Espars 50.
Fart Priest 69.
Furbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Funky Hand.
Garth the Wolf.
Gartooth.
Guilty Phoenix 42.
Handheld Gamer.
Happy Sloth.
I may have made a mistake.
Iris Marin.
Jay Rando.
Jack Hoving.
Jeffrey Hernandez.
Joe Encarnacion.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joshua Clements.
Juju Fruit.
Justin Lemminger.
JW Banks.
Callan CPU 57.
Kawa 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane.
Kilo Kiba.
Christopia Party with me.
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer.
Lazy Cat for Coffee.
Lex.
Link 9898.
Low Mikey.
Linko.
Lit.
Lucas Pico.
Luigi 53.
Luna B.
Lynn.
M1 iMac.
Macho Potato.
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent Easy G plus Callie Marie.
Mario Man 392.
Mark.
Marky Man 64.
Maverick Nate.
Mecha Dragon 101.
Megan.
May plus Leon.
Michael Mazer.
Michael Wong.
Mikey.
Mr. Ryan 07.
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pong.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
MSM Poke Gamer.
My Tran.
Nasir.
NIFE.
Ninja 11.
Noah-san.
Bangy.
Patrice Millette.
Paul.
Paul Gill Network.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless.
Punky.
Raver.
Raintech.
Random Bystander here.
R. Burns.
Record Rumble.
Ryuji Utsuhu Okou.
Rob M.
Rob O.
Romsky 113.
Rocks.
Ryanetta.
Sharif Jackson.
Shinryu.
Schmiggles.
Slowbro. Spacey Poop.
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citrone.
Pseudo Priest.
Tales of Link.
Tandem.
Tay 120 and 64.
Teal Fox 64.
The Kegers.
The Shark Among Men.
Thomas Alvarez.
Three Rivers.
Timmy V.
Torcheeks.
Totally Joe Ed.
Trajawi.
Trev Tendo 88.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tusku.
Tyler and Tracy.
Tyler Geis.
Uncle Jungle.
Video Game Stupid.
Vidge Mictor.
Viridian.
Virtual Bot.
Voyager 007.
WG Grizzy.
YU.
Wicked Davy.
Zelgaroth.
Zapati.
Zero Link.
And Zroid.
Oof.
We should say before we wrap up, if this
Yes.
thing does get announced, as we think it will, we will have a reaction
Yes.
to that. And we are also probably going to do an emergency podcast.
Hot!
Talking about all of that.
Yes.
Yes. So
Big week, guys.
more to look forward to, presumably.
Presumably.
This thing better happen.
Presumably. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up for now, but we probably will see you guys soon. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.